Hi there, my name is Matt Carney, and I'm the Associate Artistic Director and Casting Director here at Drury Lane Theater. And today I have joining with me two of our cast members from our upcoming production of Evita, Michelle Aravena and Sean MacLaughlin. Thanks so much for joining me today. Obviously, we are all very anxious to get back to theater and get started. So I should, of course, mention Michelle, you are going to be joining us playing the title role of Eva Perón, Evita, and Sean will be joining us as Juan Perón, her spouse. And so just out of curiosity, have either of you played these roles before?
Sean, you go first.
Actually, yeah, I did the national tour for a year, the revival. It was a great introduction to it. I've worked a lot of Lloyd Webber's musicals before, and this is one of my favorite ones. And I ended up having the blessing of being able to do it a second time and now a third, but the second time was Eva was Michelle. My Eva was Michelle, and that was such a wonderful experience. You know, it wasn't just going to do Evita, which can actually be very heavy on your soul when you perform the role. Like it's a lot of, I mean, knowing that it's historically accurate. Well, some people choose to say that it is or not, but I believe it is. All the research that I'm sure Michelle and I have done. But it's mentally taxing. But when you have someone who is simpatico, somebody who's like, I don't know, when Michelle and I first hit it off, it was like we were friends for years. Going into that production and having your lead as not just a brilliant artist, but to be able to have a friend that can share the grief and also joy with you, made the off stage so much better when we performed together. Yeah, Evita is a very enjoyable show to watch, but a very mentally taxing show to perform 8 times a week. And it's always good to have a leader, which Michelle was. So.
To piggyback onto that, I grew up doing the show. Like the first time I did the show, I think I was 11. I was like part of the children's choir. And then I did it again, and I was like children's choir / ensemble. And then the third time I finally got to play the mistress, and that's where I earned my equity card. You know, this show was a huge part of my life growing up. I've been singing the soundtrack, no joke, since I was 9 years old. But I'd never gotten the opportunity to play Eva until a couple of years ago when Sean and I did it. And going into it, I was like, okay, I know this music. I'm familiar with the show. I've been singing it since I was 9, but I had no idea how easy or hard it was going to be. I had no idea if my physical body, my mental body was going to be able to handle 8 shows a week. I had no idea. You know, I had done as much prep and training as I possibly could, but you don't know what that's actually like until you're up there 8 times a week doing it. And, you know, Sean is, and I'm not just saying this, Sean is probably one of the most selfless actors I've ever met, you know. And so knowing that from the get-go, I could feel that. And just like he said, from the beginning, from the first day that we sat next to each other for our music rehearsal, we were already just like picking on each other, making jokes. Like there was nothing, it was all very comfortable from the very beginning. And I remember being like, thank God, because I didn't realize how much I would need my partner. He is my partner in this show. Do you know what I mean? Even though it's, you know, it's Evita, Eva Perón, it is an ensemble piece, and he is my partner. And the Evas cannot do it without their Peróns. I couldn't be more thrilled to have a second opportunity to do this, because not only did we have a great time, and we really did, we had a great time, but we told the story really well together.
And I'm so excited to see this story told, because I mean, we also have genius director Marcia Milgram Dodge directing it, and just I can't wait to see what the 3 of you create in the room. It's going to be amazing. Do you feel like, having done the show before, especially together, and now this time that we've gone through, that it will alter your approach, the way you're going to approach the show coming up, or do you feel like it's going to change kind of your perspective of Evita?
Absolutely. So it's interesting because there's so many versions of this story. I think the musical, the way it was originally directed, leans a little bit more towards Eva kind of being a little bit of the bad guy. Do you feel that way at all?
Like a little swayed towards her being bad guy, but he was trying to take, seems like he's trying to take it down the center, but
And I
yeah,
think
Che
that
is
yeah,
definitely a little more negative.
when Sean and I did it, you know, it was a version that we really wanted to explore where we didn't want to sway it one way or the other. You know, this woman, this partnership, Perón and Eva, it divided the country in half, where half the people supported them, believed them, thought they were doing good, thought they were there for good, where the other half was like, you know, completely against them, thinking they were money hungry, power hungry. It's not too unlike what we live in now, you know, where it's
Exactly.
like real news, fake news. What do we believe? What do we hear? You know, this is all, it's sad to say, but it is the society we're still living in now. What's cool about, you know, speaking a little bit with the attack that Marsha's going to take, and without giving too much away, it's a completely different take than the piece that Sean and I worked on together. And challenging, yes, but in an exciting way. Not only are you bringing two actors together that like were very, very comfortable in the storytelling that they had created, but you're asking these two people to recreate a story and tell it from a different lens. So that is challenging, but I think as actors and as performers, those are the challenges that we want. Because when you play characters like this, you always want to know where this drive, where this passion, where this anger, whatever it is you're working with comes from. And as we know, as humans, a lot comes from when you were a child and how certain events in your life kind of navigated the way that you respond to your adult life. And I think we're going to tap into a little bit of that. Is like what happened to her as a young child, and why maybe she has this like drive and passion to be powerful and strong and take from the rich and give to the poor and that kind of thing.
I grew up with a base of military politics, but politics have no room in the military. So I always grew up believing that, you know, those in power are righteous, never thinking about the absolute power causes absolute corruption kind of card. I always grew up believing in honor and basically serving your fellow man. And as you grow up, you start learning different things. You know, of course, you know, the politics changed in my world, but the history of military and what is right and wrong and what could be fixed in a country always, as I got older, I was just intrigued by that. So when I was able to first approach Evita, I wanted to go to the soup to nuts. I just want to go down to brass tacks and figure out what this man was about, because to this day, Argentina is still having money problems because of what they did. And I don't know, the first time doing it, it was trying to find the good in the character instead of the evil. So I tried to figure out, okay, so the only thing that really I could find in the role was the love that he had for her, and she was the only saving grace, even though I always thought that he was using her to a certain extent in his political game. She was his, you know, leading lady, and we actually kind of get a sense in the musical where it's almost like he was a little jealous of her. I never really necessarily saw that after I found out that he got her body back after it disappeared, and he would have dinner with her corpse. Like he was very in love with his wife.
Yes, you do.
The second time, yes, doing it with Michelle, I don't know. It was more of fun, the business relationship between us, along with the friendship, because that was already there, was establishing the business relationship. I never quite understood the circus aspect of their administration until finally living it through this previous administration in the United States. And it's more of seeing how it is theater and seeing how bad theater really does suck. It helped me realize, okay, politics, there is that element of theater to it that I want to explore this third time around. Believing that, okay, you can have good intentions, but it's for the intentions of your party or your political regime, or, you know, lining your pockets with money. I'm excited to see that. And I believe a little bit when I was doing the audition that Marcia is kind of going that way a little bit as well.
Because I do feel like we have this light at the end of the tunnel and we are so close to getting back to theater. I guess, what are you most looking forward to in the future?
Oh, I mean, oh gosh, what am I most looking forward to? Well, I mean, obviously, I just want the career that I've spent my life building back. But what I'm most looking forward to, and this is not even a joke, is like the dressing room, the backstage banter, um, getting up at 6 a.m., getting ready for rehearsal, being like, oh, I can't wait for rehearsal to be done. And then, you know what I mean? Or like sitting in tech for like 7 hours, freezing in the audience, waiting for them to like figure out the lights so you can, like, all that stuff that I probably complained way too much about. I can't wait to revisit it and never ever take it for granted. I'm most excited to step back into this career with a brand new sense of awareness and new eyes. I never thought it would be taken away from me like this, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
What about you, Sean?
And I think basically the exact same thing. I mean, to be able to also have physical interaction with someone on stage is something like just even a handshake or a hug. You don't realize how much you took that for granted back then, being able to hang out with a person in a room without being afraid all the time. But definitely theater, the curtain call is something I never thought I would ever miss. But just the rush of being on stage again. And friends, because that was one of the reasons I got into theater, was to make friends and family, and to have that again. I mean, outside of my immediate family, but have that again means the world. And yeah, it's kind of shocking when somebody just, like Michelle said, just rips the carpet out from underneath you.
Especially when what we do is so grounded in our community on stage and backstage, but then also having that connection with our community in the audience that is there to share in this with us. I can't wait.
Nothing like it.
There is nothing like it. Well, thank you both so much for joining me today. Evita, we cannot wait. It opens January 28th, 2022, runs through March 20th, 2022. Thank you so much, both of you.